Yeah, I'm still kind of baffled and puzzled why it cuts out. It will go live and then all of a sudden it just cuts out and stops. I'm not sure what the whole deal is with that. It seems like on the second try it just keeps going. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and just continue on and see what happens. Like I was talking about in my live that cut off, the anaglyph glasses are what you need for 3D content. $8 on Amazon, 2 pairs. There's $7.49 or whatever it is. Get those if you want to watch some of my content in 3D. That's how you can do it on your phone, on your computer, on your laptop. Maybe not your laptop, but your tablet or whatever. As far as your TV goes, your TV has to be 3D capable to do the 3D content. I believe I haven't been able to get it to work on the TV, so it only comes in 2D. But anyways, that's that. I'm going to work on these brackets real quick. I'm going to get them painted. Shouldn't take long. It only took me like 10 minutes, 15 minutes to do this one. So I'm just going to do the other one real quick, and I'm going to cut these out and get these on there and do a mow. So let me get that set up real quick. Okay, 2 seconds. Just trying to get my 3D camera going here. I got to get my gloves. It's been a little cold out here. It was a little frosty this morning. I did some do-whip with the 3D camera this morning, so I'm going to try to post that as well. See if I can't not screw up the cameras. Looks like everything's still working. So I'm just using, after I grind it, the paint off, I'm using 80 grit sandpaper, and then I'm just by hand kind of using 220 here to finish smoothing it out. Like I said, I'm just kind of giving a little prep to do a quick paint on it. So this is what this side looks like. And so this is the other side I haven't done yet. I've ground this side off a little bit earlier. And I'm just going to kind of finish the top and bottom here. Let's see, I did it like this. All right, so I told you it wouldn't take that long. And, you know, I'm not even really trying to do that great of a job. A lot of this was just really tried to get the old paint off. I'm not trying to remove any thickness or anything like that. And it's just a nice, easy way. Plus, I was trying to get some of these grooves. I don't know if you can see that in there, but there were some like marks and scratches and scrapes. There's still a few right in here that maybe you can see. I don't know. Well, I'm going to move everything over to my paint booth right here. All right, my paint booth. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, just to get these ready to paint, I am going to put on some gloves, just because I really don't want to get paint on my hands. And I'm going to just do this kind of quickly, because I want to move on to mowing and stuff before it gets too late. I have some, not this, I have some mineral spirits. And a towel. Get my other bracket. Just needed a screwdriver to open this up here. So I'm just going to wipe them down really quick. Clean them up. Try to get them ready for a good coat of paint. Okay, so I'm not sure when you're painting how you guys paint. I use my heat gun because it is kind of chilly today. I'm just going to use my heat gun just to kind of dry it off and kind of blow everything out of here. And this isn't like major air or anything like that, but this should dry them out from the mineral spirits and just kind of warm the metal up a little bit. Hopefully we'll get some good adhesion here with the paint. And this also makes it so it's quicker to get the paint to dry, so you can do like a second coat and get it to harden, all that kind of stuff. So I'm just using Rust-Oleum. It's apple red gloss. It's paint and primer. I've done this on a couple others already and it turned out really well. So I had already shaken it. So I was trying to put an ice coat on it. I'm going to use this is a heat gun, not a blow dryer, heat gun. Just use it to dry everything off here. Now, I didn't grind these to where I was really grinding off material so much as I was more sanding off the paint coat, because I want to leave the thickness of my brackets here. And I'm just hoping that the thickness of the paint that I reapply back to it is going to make it so that it still remains tight. I'm by far no professional painter. Actually, my brother-in-law showed me this trick. He used to do this on his car. He showed me this. This is like, oh my God, I don't know. I was in my 20s, like barely even 20, and he was working in his pickup truck in the garage, and it was wintertime, and this is in Arkansas. It was winter and it was cold, and he was like trying to paint his bumper, and I think he was like painting it a highlight color or something. I can't remember. And he did this, and he showed me how it will dry the paint and harden it. And I mean, just what he said. I don't know if there's any truth to it. I know it dries it really quick and it does harden it. Let's see here. Still, let's see. I mean, there's no paint getting on my glove here. I'm gonna do just a little more. But I've been doing this ever since, especially in the wintertime when it's cold. I do it. And I want to really just get these edges right here, because I want to turn these over and just paint the other side real quick, and then I'm just going to let them sit. Oops. So, no paint. All right, we're going to see how this goes. Oh, I just scuffed it right there. So the real thing for getting it to dry really quick is you just don't get a lot of stuff to float around and land on it while it's drying, you know, because it takes a couple hours to dry. And when you do this, you can actually see it drying as you're going back and forth with this. You know, I'm out in the garage. I got the garage door open. I mean, the wind's not blowing heavy, but, you know, stuff floats around in the air. And I'm not really concerned with how perfect this looks. I'm just trying to get it so that it's all painted again, so I can put it on so they look halfway decent. You know, like I said, I'm not going to put them on until next weekend. So what I'm going to do now really quick is I'm going to try to get the notch cut out in these fender washers I got here. And I'm just going to see how that works. I'm not really, I mean, I think it will work, but I don't know that if they're too thick. I mean, I can't test them because I can't put them on without a notch being cut out in them. So I'm just going to do that real quick. And I'm going to get out in the yard, get the mowers going. And I'll come back and do more of this later to kind of help get this dry. But that pretty much gets it going for right now. Move this out of the way. See how well you can see that there, nice and painted. They're a little dry. They're still wet, but they shouldn't collect too much fuzz. And like I said, I'm not really too worried about it. I just wanted to get some color on it and get it painted. All right, let me move my camera back over here. So I don't know. I don't think I can cut 2 of these at a time. I think it's going to be a problem. But you know what? I'm going to try. Because I just want to get these cut and move on. Just going to tighten it really tight. Yeah, maybe that'll work. Okay, so I'm going to put a cutting wheel on now. So my grinder is unplugged. And I'm going to Hey, good. How you guys doing today? Thanks. Appreciate that. Wait till spring. It's going to be great. There's some people walking by with their babies and their dog, complimenting me on my grass. So it's always nice. All right, I'm gonna see how this works here. Here we go. Now, let me. Well, that went a lot better than I thought it was. Okay. So we'll see how well that works out. And for those of you wondering, I am wearing safety glasses. These are prescription safety glasses I had specially made. Well, not specially, but I mean, I got safety glasses. They do have the, I forget what it's called, but the tinting so that when sunlight gets on them, they go to sunglasses. But I have side protection and all that on it. So that's that. All right, let's move the studio in on the McLane and see if we can get these to work. Get my tools. This. Okay, so we're using 11/6. Wait, let's see. What are we going to use here? We're just going to loosen these. I might have to. Look at that. That's it. This side doesn't seem to want to fit as much. I can still adjust this. It's hard, it's not loose, so I can't adjust it, but over here, this one is not as tight. So I'm going to leave this one as it is. Just tighten these up. I'm not sure what I have my lawnmower. I think it's at 9 millimeters, so I'm probably going to do the Kentucky Bluegrass mow. Eight and a half. So 8.5, 8.7, close enough for me in the wintertime. So that's 8 millimeters. 8 millimeters again is not quite 3/8. Let me see, 6 millimeters is a quarter. So what is that, 3/16? Yeah, it must be 3/16. About 3/16, not quite 3/8. I think 12 is 3/8, so about hold on, 3/4, 6, sorry, so 6, 3/8, yeah, I guess it's about 3/8, something like that. 8. So that's what I do on my Kentucky Bluegrass, is cut like that. Let me get some of this stuff out of the way here. So, this. Just need to clear a spot to get the mower out. Tried to get on as early as possible today for the sun to be out, but that didn't seem to work out too well. I have all my cameras plugged in, and I'm going to unplug this one. So I haven't decided. I usually mount my cameras on the mower. And I don't know, I think for today, I'm just going to do one of these. Because my mic should work. I was hoping my drone batteries would have charged by now. So we'll just go with this. Fuel on. Look at that, one coal. All right. Just gonna run it high to get it warmed up. Really wet and mushy. Yeah, not a whole lot of growth going on over here. Okay, we're mowing. And we've really had some really good weather this last week. The sun's been out for like the last 5 days. But it was really cold last night. So I mean, nothing really dries out. I'm gonna move the camera down on the sidewalk here, try to give you a little different perspective. See how that works out. So the middle part of last year, I was talking about how my McLane was really kind of aggravating me. And I was having a lot of problems with it, just things I didn't understand why they were happening. One of the whole big issues I was talking about was just McLane quality control. I just feel like if they paid a little more attention to the quality of their parts they were putting out, and I don't even know how well they test them. I mean, that whole bed knife dragging issue was really, it was a problem for me for like 3 months. I really blamed it on my putting green just not being level. But the issue, I didn't have the issue before I changed my bed knife. And please remember, I've had this McLane for almost 2 years. This is my second full season on it. Wait, hold on. scratch that. I'm going on my 3rd year. I've had it for 2 years. I've had it for 2 seasons. And, you know, it wasn't so much that my bed knife was wore out before and that it was thinner because I had been, you know, backlapping it and all that. That had nothing to do with it. I showed the videos and the pictures of the bed knife, and just how much different they are in thickness. Just like these bracket parts that I was just working on and showing you. You know, there shouldn't be that much slop where I can put a entire, you know, fender washer in between where the adjustment knob slot goes in and the bracket, you know. So I mean, that to me right there is an issue in itself. And of the 3 sets of brackets that I have, 2 sets are like that, too thin. The material is too thin, and I've already done this wrong here, but oh well. And one set, the set that I'm going to put on that I just painted, it is actually perfect. So that just carries over into the bed knife and the manufacturer of the bed knife. It's the same thing. It's too thick. You know, I said, you know, McLane, they advertise this greenskeeper cut at 3 millimeters. I honestly don't think, with the way the bed knife is, that you can do 3 millimeters. I honestly just don't really think that that's doable. I mean, and it's a greenskeeper mower, so you should be able to do that. You know, if you're cutting at a higher height, and you don't have to worry about it. But if you're buying this mower to cut a green at, you know, less than 4 millimeters, which some of you might, you know, be like, that's crazy. Why would you? But I've worked with greenskeepers or superintendents of golf courses. You know, they maintain their putting greens at 2 millimeters. And once I heard that, I was like, that's what I want to do. I want my putting green to be 2 millimeters. And I'm cutting it today at 2 millimeters. I only started with this Kentucky Bluegrass because the height was already set for my Kentucky Bluegrass, 8 millimeters. And that's pretty short to cut in the winter. But you know what? My whole purpose of my channel here is to show you how I take care of my yard, my low cut, and my lawn, my putting green, and you know what it looks like. I mean, I don't know how well you can tell what it's looking like. I mean, the sun position is so low in the sky, it's ridiculous in the wintertime. And you know, I just posted a video last week of nitrogen and soil testing and all that stuff. Here, let me just move this camera back in the garage. I gotta adjust the cut height here. I'm mowing this putting green at, I don't know, short. That's what I'm gonna do. So I'm just going to move my cameras in here so I can have that. I'm going to go get the mower. You know, and one of the things before I get to the nitrogen thing, one of the things I'm working on with my lives right now is trying to get it so that the video doesn't cut out as much when I'm in different areas in my yard. I'm learning the learning curve on, you know, my connection. I mean, I'm just live streaming on my GoPro right now. And then I'm also trying to learn how to do the live stream with the doing live and live shorts. I don't know. I don't even know if that's working today. I think I set it to do it, but I do most of my lives through OBS. And because of that, I think there's something configured in my YouTube studio that makes it so I can't do that. I don't know. I don't understand all this stuff. I'm learning, just like the whole 3D thing. I really like it. You know, I may be just doing it for myself, which is fine. You know, that doesn't matter to me. I'm posting it. I'm putting it up. You can watch my 3D content in VR glasses and anaglyph glasses. It's very cheap to do. You know, if you don't want to invest the money, you know, you don't have to. But I think it's a really nice effect. And one of the things I've really been working on is my, you know, the quality of the picture and the view and all that. So anyway, so like I was saying, my nitrogen video I just put up, you know, nitrogen and soil testing. I got a comment. You know, I don't get a lot of comments on my videos, which is fine. But I got a comment, you know, guy saying, you know, this and that about you can't just run nitrogen and you have to do soil testing. And if you're going to do soil testing, you should do this kind of soil testing and all that kind of stuff. I don't know what this guy's background is. I don't know what he knows. I'm going with soil science. The people who have PhDs on this stuff, you know, the research and what the research says. And, you know, research says the 4 seasons of the year basically provide enough potassium, phosphorus for your lawn to live all season because it's a cycle. It's just a continuous cycle. And this is through research of soil scientists, you know, universities doing studies. You know, there's not a lot of, you know, money that goes into soil research for grass and stuff like that. And that's why a lot of things just aren't known, you know, and that's why it's so difficult for us to get accurate readings on certain things. Now, I know there's certain tests that you could probably get, you know, an idea of how much nitrogen, but you know what? Oops, wrong way. If you're just constantly adding nitrogen, you know, throughout the year at the rate that your grass type needs, you know, like I explained, you know, Kentucky bluegrass is about 3 pounds a year, you know, and that's what I do. I dose it in small doses once a month, and, you know, that's all you really need to do. I basically do between 1/4 and 1/2 pound, oops, backwards, 1/4 and 1/2 pound. Oh, dang, guess I got to turn it on. 0, 1/4 and 1/2 pound of nitrogen a month. And let me just go ahead and lower this down. And that, you know, takes care of me all through the season, and I get plenty of nitrogen. And I've already done the soil testing, and, you know, I don't do soil testing for any other reason than to, you know, do information on the soil testing on my channel and show what's up. Because I don't actually even make any changes based on soil tests. I get them, I look at them, I show them and compare them. I've done the soil test comparisons between my soil kit, which is the resin exchange, ion exchange resin, and the Malic 3. And I've shown the differences in it. But what I've also shown is my soil, no matter whose test you believe, and the differences between the two, Malic 3 and ion exchange resins, they both show that I have plenty of phosphorus and potassium, and it's one of those that's one of those things I don't even add to my yard. I use nitrogen only, have only been using nitrogen for 2 years. But, you know, I have done composting and stuff like that, which that adds a lot of organic material and get your microbes working and get your soil active. I'm going down to, well, I'm at 2.3 right now. Yeah, see, this one's still sloppy over here. It is loose, and it's not holding its adjustment. But I can't get a washer in there. See, this one actually did hold its adjustment. So that washer is doing its job. And I'm down to 2. Screw it. We're going down. Yeah, this side I'm having a real issue with this left-hand side here. And it's because of the sloppiness of this adjustment. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it right there. I'm not going to mess with it. So anyways, like I'm saying, you know, if you want to believe, you know, whatever it is you think you believe on nitrogen, soil, adding phosphorus, potassium, you know, believe what you want to believe. But I'm going with the science and the research on it, and the basic fact that if your soil your grass looks great, there's no reason there's no reason to add any of that stuff. All this mumbo jumbo that people tell you about with the potassium and phosphorus and what it does, if it's already in your soil, it's already doing that. Adding more isn't doing anything to help your soil and your grass. It's just overdoing it. And I'm not a big environmentalist, you know, but what I do care about is I do care about lawn care industry being regulated. And that's why I care about what you're being told to put in your yard and how much of it, and on a constant basis. You know, that BS right there is what's getting it regulated already in certain places. You know, in Washington, there's state law. You're not allowed to add phosphorus. And you know, Yardborough lives in Washington, and he adds phosphorus on a regular basis. And, you know, I know there's no phosphorus police, but there's a reason why they have these laws. And a lot of it has to do with people like Yardborough. You know, I'm not saying him specifically, he's the only reason. It's everybody in general that is, you know, you put everybody combined doing this. You know, there's only 3 reasons in Washington you're allowed to add phosphorus. And that's if you have a soil test that says you are critically low, you're doing a reseeding project, there's one other, I forget what it is. But you know, most states are like that. Most states have these restrictions. I'm going to put my camera back out here, and I'm going to get this thing going here so I can get this over with. And for all the stuff I did, I feel like I got a lot of, let's put it back over here. Keeping the sun. Okay, get my mower. Anyways, I doubt the guy who posted that comment about needing to add phosphorus and do soil testing and all that stuff. I doubt he's watching or even really cares. He's not going to believe what I have to say, and that's the problem with a lot of people. You know, they don't believe in the real data, you know, and the science and everything. And again, that's why our industry is getting regulated. Phosphorus, you know, does damage to the environment. And again, I'm not an environmentalist. I'm not that guy. I don't have electric vehicles or plug-ins because I feel like I'm saving the world, because I actually don't. I have them because it makes sense for what we do, how we travel. I like only buying 6 tanks of fuel a year and putting over 10,000 miles on 6 tanks. Washington is not a cheap state to buy gas in, and at least right now gas prices are pretty reasonable. Oh shoot, I gotta start this to get this up here. So again, you know, my reasons for my information on my channel come from science, and I try to back it up with the research. And although I can't provide the actual research for you to go read, because a lot of this research is not available to the public, you know, it's only available to, you know, scholars and other researchers and stuff like that, because they're printed in research publications, and you have to be a member and you have to pay annual fees. So that's why I listen to the scientists that talk about it, the guys with the PhDs, the guys that have actually gone out and done the research. And I listen to them talk about it. And you know, like I said before, I'm taking courses on turfgrass. Oh boy. On turfgrass science. You know, I want to learn as much as I can about it. And I don't want to spend a lot of money. I mean, I spent a lot of money on this lawnmower, and I don't want to be the guy that's constantly doing soil tests unnecessarily, constantly adding fertilizers I don't need to add because I don't show any signs of any problems. I mean, you can see my lawns right now. They look great. It's the middle of winter. I'm out here cutting my bent grass putting green. I mean, this is 2 millimeters. This is a legitimate 2 millimeters. Now, granted, my putting green isn't in the best of shape right now. Because of some, you know, changes I made, some things I did last season that didn't necessarily go my way. But you know, this green's going to bounce back and fill back in. But I've already talked about this year. I am most likely going to be pulling this putting green out and replacing it, and doing it the right way. I told you when I put this in, I've said it on my channel, when I put this in, I just put it in to try it out. and I've actually had it looking really good. It looked really great last summer. And then I did this renovation in the cold and the rain, and it was a really bad time to do it. And this showed, you know, that it was not liking it, and it didn't grow back as good as it could have. I mean, my main parts of my putting green are growing really nice right now. And these are the parts that have always been here since I first did it. The edges are all new. And I've made a lot of changes around the edge to this putting green. I've gone back and forth from bent grass, Kentucky bluegrass, back to bent grass. And you know, part of the problem of the reseeding I did in late September, I mean it was almost October, was I had sprayed tenacity to kill a lot of bent grass, to put Kentucky bluegrass in a lot of these areas. And you know, I could have had some residual tenacity down that was hindering the regrowth of what was in there, and that could be a real good reason why some of these spots just never grew back. You know, but I'll just take it on. I just did it the wrong time of year. If you watch the video, you'll see in the video when I did this, it was a muddy mess. It was so wet and muddy, and I took this putting green down to pretty much dirt, the whole entire thing, to redo it. And just the fact that the main areas of my putting green, you know, came back so strong and so well, you know, say a lot for how durable the bent grass is. I mean, I really literally cut it back to nothing. All right. I'm going to stop this one, and I'm going to take my camera off of this setup here. I'll get you in close on what we're talking about here. So here's the putting green. Let's see how low I can get this. Let me make some adjustments here. So this is my wintertime putting green. Bent grass. Excuse me, sorry about that. Now let's look at the Kentucky bluegrass here. I don't know how well you can see that there. I don't know, what time is it? 1:21. Look at it's 1:21 in the afternoon. Look at how long these shadows are. Look at the side of my house. There's absolutely no sun over here. There really never was. If there was, and my lawn will show that So, sorry, I gotta grab my phone here, or else I'm gonna lose signal here. Over here. Yeah, so I told you. My connection got lost over there in that area of my yard. It says it's still connected. So, all right, sorry about that. I won't go back over there. So yeah, I can't read comments during my lives because of what I'm doing. So that pretty much does it. I'm going to go ahead and my battery's dying on my camera here. And I did what I was going to do. I was going to get the mow in. You know, I'm going to mow this again because that's what I do. And I need to mow my backyard. But you know what I am going to do? I'm going to go get golf balls real quick. I'm going to roll some golf balls. Golf balls. A little wet and dirty. And maybe if I get over here, it'll roll a little better. Oh, look at that. I threw it right into the hole. I couldn't do that if I tried. Actually, So that's how the ball rolls on the putting green at 2 millimeters in the winter. I can't really see into the camera here, so I can't even see what's going on. Anyways, that's it. Well, thanks for watching. Maybe you got some information, maybe you got some entertainment. I do everything on the fly, off the cuff. I'm going to process some 3D video and post it. Again, you need anaglyph glasses, the red and the blue lenses like you get at the movie theater when you watch a 3D movie. You can get them on Amazon for $8 for 2 pairs. And that's how you can watch my 3D content. I'm going to be posting more 3D content. As far as I know, you can't cast it to your TV, but you can watch it on your computer, you can watch it on your phone, and you can watch it on a tablet. I don't know about a laptop. I don't have one. I don't use one. To TV and get that to work. See that there? Out of here. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.